What if I told you? The biggest movie of 2026 isn't about superheroes. There are no Infinity Stones, no multiverse, and no capes. Instead, it's based on a story that was written nearly 3,000 years ago. Yet millions of people believe it could become Christopher Nolan's greatest film ever. But here's the part that shocked me the most. This isn't really a movie about monsters or giant battles. It's about one man who survived a legendary war, only to discover that his hardest fight was simply getting back home. And once you notice the hidden details inside this trailer, you'll never watch it the same way again. So let's break it all down. Before we dive into the trailer, let's talk about why everyone is so excited. Whenever Christopher Nolan announces a new movie, people don't expect ordinary entertainment. They expect an experience, whether it's Inception, Interstellar, or Oppenheimer. Nolan has built a reputation for telling stories that stay with audiences long after the credits roll, and from everything we've seen so far. The Odyssey looks like another film that's aiming much higher than a typical blockbuster. Now, the very first thing that stands out in the trailer isn't an action sequence. It isn't a massive explosion. Instead, we're greeted by silence, dark skies, endless water, and a lone ship fighting against an unforgiving sea. Right away, the trailer tells us something important. Nature isn't just the background. It feels like the main antagonist. The ocean looks alive. Every wave feels dangerous. Every storm feels personal. And that's what immediately separates this film from most modern adventure movies. Then we finally see the man at the center of it all. Odysseus, not standing proudly like an invincible hero, but looking exhausted, weathered, and carrying the weight of everything he's been through. That detail matters because great heroes aren't remembered for never falling. Simple. Right, not exactly. Because with nonstop dialogue, that silence creates tension. It makes every frame feel more real. Almost like we're standing on that ship ourselves. The trailer is absolutely breathtaking. The scale feels enormous. The oceans seem endless. The cliffs tower over everything, and every shot has that cinematic spectacle for the sake of spectacle. Every image seems to support the emotional journey of the story. Another thing worth noticing is Odysseus himself. He doesn't look like someone chasing glory. He looks like someone carrying regret. There's exhaustion in his face, determination in his eyes, and a quiet sadness that never really leaves him. That's what makes him feel human. He's not fighting because he wants another victory. He's fighting because he refuses to give up on the people waiting for him. And honestly, that idea is probably why this story has survived for nearly 3,000 years. Deep down, almost everyone understands what it feels like to struggle through people they love. But then, the trailer starts dropping small visual clues. The weather changes. The atmosphere becomes darker. The journey feels even more dangerous. It's almost as if the ocean itself is testing Odysseus, asking one question over and over again. How much are you willing to sacrifice before you finally make it home? And that's where the trailer becomes much more than an adventure. It becomes deeply personal. Because in the next part, we'll look at the hidden symbolism, the mythology behind these moments, and why Christopher Nolan may be telling a much deeper story than most people realize. At this point, the trailer stops feeling like a simple adventure movie and starts feeling like something much bigger. Because every scene seems to be asking the same question. What happens to a hero after the war is over? Most stories end with victory. But the Odyssey begins there. And that's exactly what makes it so different. One of the smartest things Christopher Nolan appears to be doing is making Odysseus feel like a real human being instead of an untouchable legend. He's tired. He's scarred. He's constantly being pushed to his limits. Every decision carries consequences. Every step forward comes with another challenge. That emotional weight is what gives the trailer its power. Another detail that really stood out to me is how the environment almost becomes a character of its own. The ocean isn't just water. It feels unpredictable, sometimes calm, sometimes terrifying, sometimes almost alive. The same goes for the storms, the cliffs, and the isolated landscapes. Instead of simply creating beautiful visuals, they reflect the emotional state of the journey itself, and that's classic visual storytelling. Now let's talk about the mythology. Even if you've never read the original epic, you can still feel that this world is filled with ancient mystery. The trailer hints at a journey where every stop could change the hero forever. It creates the feeling that danger doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes, the greatest obstacles come from fear, temptation, pride, or the choices we make when we're desperate. That's one of the reasons this story has lasted for thousands of years. Its themes still feel surprisingly modern. Another thing I noticed, Christopher Nolan never seems interested in giving the audience easy answers. Instead, he leaves small clues hidden throughout the trailer. A single look, a quiet moment, a dramatic change in the weather. These details may seem insignificant at first, but together they create an atmosphere full of mystery. It's the kind of trailer that makes you want to watch it again, just to see what you missed the first time. And then there's the music. Rather than overwhelming every scene, it slowly builds tension. It lets the silence speak. It allows the visuals to breathe. That combination makes the trailer feel less like a marketing campaign, and more like the opening chapter of an unforgettable journey. But perhaps the biggest question still remains unanswered. Will Odysseus return home as the same man who left for war? Or has the journey already changed him forever? Because sometimes the destination isn't what transforms us. It's everything we... After watching this trailer multiple times, one thing became very clear to me. Christopher Nolan isn't just making another epic movie.